What's up, WrestleScope family? Before we dive into the absolute chaos that went down, I need you to do me a favor. Hit that like button right now, because what I'm about to reveal is going to shake the entire WWE Universe to its core. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're either going to be typing in all caps in the comments or sharing this with every wrestling fan you know. There is no in between. Because what happened on Monday Night Raw wasn't just another segment. It wasn't just another match. What we witnessed was the complete and utter destruction of everything WWE has built over the last 2 decades. And Bronson Reed's reaction? Oh, it tells us everything about what's really going on behind those corporate curtains. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button, and let's expose the truth together. Let me paint you a picture. Monday Night Raw. The arena is electric. Fans are on their feet. And then it happens. Oba Femi, the absolute unit from NXT, the man who has been demolishing everyone in his path, steps into the ring. But he's not alone. Standing across from him is none other than Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate, the Conqueror, the man who has been an unstoppable force for over 20 years. Now, I want you to pause for a second. Think about that. Brock Lesnar, the same guy who broke The Undertaker's streak. The same man who ragdolled John Cena like a toy. The same beast who made Roman Reigns look like an amateur for years. That Brock Lesnar. But here's where it gets insane. What we saw wasn't a competitive match. It wasn't a back-and-forth battle between 2 titans. What we witnessed was a systematic, brutal, and absolutely shocking dismantling of Brock Lesnar at the hands of Oba Femi. And I'm not talking about a close call. I'm not talking about a lucky shot. I'm talking about complete and total domination. Let me take you through what actually happened, blow by blow, because this is important. The bell rings. Lesnar does what Lesnar always does. He charges forward with those devastating strikes, looking to establish dominance early. But here's the thing that nobody expected. Oba Femi doesn't back down. He doesn't flinch. He walks straight into Brock Lesnar's offense and just absorbs it, like it's nothing. Then comes the counter. Oba Femi catches Lesnar mid-charge, lifts him up like he weighs absolutely nothing, and slams him down with a spine-rattling power slam that shook the entire arena. The crowd goes silent, not in a bad way, but in that way where everyone collectively realizes they're witnessing something they've never seen before. But it doesn't stop there. Oh no. Lesnar gets up and you can see it in his eyes, that look of shock, that look of what just happened. And Oba Femi, he's standing there, calm, collected, and ready. What happens next is a sequence of power moves that would make Vader, Kane, and even Prime Undertaker proud. We're talking multiple power bombs. We're talking suplexes that Lesnar is usually the one delivering. We're talking about a pop-up power bomb that sent Lesnar crashing to the mat with such force that I'm surprised the ring didn't collapse. And then comes the finish, the move that everyone is talking about. Oba Femi hits his devastating finisher and pins Brock Lesnar. 1, 2, 3. The arena erupts. Commentary is losing their minds. Social media is melting down. And somewhere backstage, Bronson Reed is watching all of this unfold. Now, this is where things get really interesting. And this is why you need to pay attention. Because the mainstream wrestling media, they're not telling you the full story. They're giving you the sanitized version. But here at WrestleScope, we dig deeper. Bronson Reed took to social media shortly after Raw went off the air. And let me tell you, what he posted wasn't just a casual observation. It was a statement, a declaration, and potentially a warning to everyone in WWE. The post? A simple but loaded message. I've been saying it for months. The era of the unstoppable monster is over. Welcome to the era of real monsters. Oba proved what I already knew, and I'm just getting started. Now, on the surface, that might seem like Bronson is just giving props to his fellow powerhouse, but let me break down what he's actually saying here, because there are layers to this that most people are missing. First, I've been saying it for months. Bronson Reed has been on a path of destruction himself. The man has been absolutely wrecking people on Raw. He's taken out legends, he's demolished main eventers, he sent Seth Rollins to the hospital multiple times. Bronson Reed has been trying to tell everyone that the old guard needs to move aside, but nobody wanted to listen. And now, Oba Femi just proved his point in the most spectacular way possible. Second, the era of the unstoppable monster is over. This is huge. Bronson isn't just talking about Brock Lesnar here. He's talking about the entire WWE machine that has been built around part-time attractions and aging stars who come back for big paydays. He's talking about Roman Reigns' multi-year dominance. He's talking about the system that keeps fresh talent down while elevating the same names over and over again. And third, Welcome to the era of real monsters. This is a direct challenge. Bronson Reed is essentially saying that what Oba did to Brock is just the beginning, that there's a new generation of absolute units who are ready to take over, and they're not waiting for permission anymore. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Sources close to the situation have indicated that Bronson Reed and Oba Femi have been in communication for weeks, and I'm not talking about casual, hey, good match type conversations. I'm talking about strategic discussions about how to change the landscape of WWE. Think about it. Both men came up through different paths. Oba Femi has been demolishing everyone in NXT, building an undefeated streak that rivals Goldberg's legendary run. Bronson Reed has been wreaking havoc on the main roster, showing management that he's not content with being a mid-card act. Both men are absolute physical specimens. Both men have been criminally underutilized for years, and both men are sick of waiting their turn. Now, we have to ask ourselves some serious questions here. Question number 1, was Oba Femi's victory over Brock Lesnar supposed to happen this way? Because let me tell you, if you've been following wrestling for any length of time, you know that Brock Lesnar doesn't lose clean, ever. He loses through interference, he loses through distraction, he loses through shenanigans. But a clean, dominant loss? That never happens unless it's part of a much bigger story. Why did Bronson Reed feel the need to comment so quickly and so publicly? Wrestlers typically play things close to the vest, especially when it comes to major storyline developments. But Bronson put his thoughts out there immediately, almost as if he wanted to control the narrative before WWE's PR machine could spin it their way. What does this mean for the upcoming WrestleMania season? Because traditionally, this is when WWE rolls out their biggest stars and most protected acts. But if Oba Femi just beat Brock Lesnar, and Bronson Reed is essentially co-signing that moment, what does that say about WWE's confidence in their next generation of stars? And here's the most controversial question of all. Did Brock Lesnar want to lose this match? Now, before you start typing angry comments, hear me out. Brock Lesnar is one of the smartest workers in the business. He knows how to protect his character. He knows how to maintain his mystique. But he's also been in this business long enough to know when it's time to pass the torch. Could this have been Brock's way of saying, I'm done being the final boss, and here's the guy who deserves that spot? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture, because what happened on Raw isn't happening in a vacuum. WWE is in a very interesting position right now. They're under new ownership with TKO, they have massive media deals with Netflix and other platforms, they're trying to balance appealing to their longtime fan base while also attracting new viewers. And most importantly, they're facing legitimate competition from other promotions that are building their own stars. So when you have a moment like Oba Femi destroying Brock Lesnar and Bronson Reed publicly endorsing it, WWE has to make a choice. Do they double down on this new generation of monsters, or do they retreat back to the safety of proven commodities? Here's what I think is happening. WWE knows they have a problem. For years, they've relied on part-timers and established names to carry their biggest shows, but those part-timers are getting older, they're appearing less frequently, and the audience is starting to reject the idea that someone who shows up 4 times a year should be treated as more important than the wrestlers who are there every single week. Bronson Reed and Oba Femi represent a solution to that problem. They're full-time talents, they're physically imposing, they're believable as legitimate threats, and most importantly, they're hungry. They want to be on top, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get there. But here's where WWE might screw this up, and this is what has me worried. WWE has a history of building someone up only to cool them off at the worst possible moment. How many times have we seen a wrestler get hot, get over with the crowd, start building momentum, and then get fed to an established star to make that person look good? It happens all the time. So the question becomes, will WWE actually commit to Oba Femi and Bronson Reed as the next generation of main event monsters? Or will this be another case of building them up just to tear them down when it's time for WrestleMania and they need Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes or whoever else to look strong? Bronson Reed's reaction suggests that he's watching very carefully. His message wasn't just about supporting Oba, it was also a warning to WWE management. Don't waste this moment. Don't squander this opportunity. Because if you do, the fans will revolt. Now let's talk about what happened after the show, because the fan reaction to this has been fascinating and honestly pretty divided. On one side, you have the hardcore wrestling fans who are thrilled to see someone new get elevated. These are the fans who have been watching NXT, who have been following Oba Femi's rise, who understand the story being told. They're celebrating this as the beginning of a new era. Social media has been flooded with clips of Oba's power moves, with side-by-side comparisons of his dominance versus other legendary monsters in WWE history. The hashtag ObaFemi has been trending for days. But on the other side, you have the Brock Lesnar faithful who feel like their hero is disrespected. These fans are arguing that Brock shouldn't have lost this cleanly, that it damages his mystique, that it makes years of storytelling feel pointless. They're calling for rematches, they're demanding explanations, some are even accusing WWE of not knowing what they have in Brock Lesnar. And then there's a third group that's perhaps the most interesting, the skeptics. These are the fans who have been burned by WWE before. They've seen promising talents get hot only to fizzle out. They're hesitant to get excited because they've been disappointed too many times. Their response to Oba's victory has been, let's see if they actually do something with this. Bronson Reed's commentary has added fuel to all three fires. His supporters see it as validation of the new generation, Brock's fans see it as disrespectful, and the skeptics see it as Bronson trying to attach himself to a moment that might not last. But here's what's really interesting about the social media reaction. It's showing WWE exactly what their audience wants. The engagement numbers on anything related to Oba Femi destroying Brock Lesnar are through the roof. We're talking millions of views, thousands of comments, endless debate and discussion,
And that's exactly what WWE wants. They want people talking. They want people engaged. They want people tuning in next week to see what happens next. Bronson understands this. His reaction wasn't random. It was calculated. By inserting himself into the conversation, he's ensuring that when WWE starts booking the fallout from this moment, his name is in the mix. He's positioning himself as either Opa's ally in this revolution against the old guard, or as his eventual opponent in a monster versus monster showdown. Now let's get to the fun part. Let's talk about where this could go, because the possibilities are endless. First and most obvious, Bronson versus Oba Femi. Think about it. Two absolute units. Two men who have been destroying everyone in their path. Two wrestlers who represent the future of WWE's monster division. This match writes itself. You could build it for WrestleMania, you could make it for the World Heavyweight Championship, you could position it as who is the real monster of WWE. The match would be an absolute brawl, and the crowd would lose their minds. But here's another possibility that nobody's talking about. Bronson Reed and Oba Femi as a tag team. Stay with me here. What if instead of fighting each other, they decide to join forces? What if they decide that the best way to take over WWE is